live chat with Chancellor Martinez. I'm Leslie, the editor-in-chief of the Eldon News, and with me here today, but not on the screen, is my multimedia editor, Ashley Mikey, who will be taking questions from social media. So before we get started, how are you, Chancellor?
I'm doing well.
Mhm.
Thanks to everybody here, and to you know, uh, lucky that my family's doing fine and everybody's doing well. So we should really count our blessings that we're healthy, because a lot of people are not. I think most of you heard that today was the deadliest day in the state of California. There was 115 deaths in the state of California, and that's like an 8.5% increase from yesterday. So
Mhm.
hopefully we'll reach our peak, and we can flatten that curve as much as we can. But definitely all of us should feel fortunate if we're healthy, and again just count our blessings for that.
I'm glad to hear that you and your family are healthy. So let's get right to it. So before we even start with the questions and the interview, do you want to give any updates, to the audience about, like, briefly, what's been going on the last week?
Sure. So we're beginning to have discussions about the fall semester. And as all of you know, we made a decision to also offer the summer session through remote instruction and online instruction. And we're having discussions also now about the fall. Uh, the Governor Newsom, has identified a 6-point plan of how he wants to open up the state. And within that plan, which I believe is point five, the 6 points, he provides some guidance that relates to how schools, how colleges will look like. So he does talk about social distancing, that social distancing should be followed in the classrooms. So if we're going to have a class, we would need to separate students by 6 feet or more. He also talks about that when students, if we are going to have a class open on a campus, that students should probably, not probably, but they need to wear face masks. Uh,
Hmm.
they may need to wear gloves. Obviously, we'll need to issue that to students also. We'll have them available if the students have the face mask, they can bring their own. Um, so that's what the so far, he has identified in his guidelines and his outline. The issue though is that he still has not stated when he intends to open up the state, what day that will be. And well, given what happened today, it's not going to happen anytime soon. So, but nevertheless, as you know, when we plan a semester like the fall semester, we try to do that 3 months ahead of time. We wouldn't try to do that overnight. And we do that so that we can also inform students about the schedules, about when they can enroll in classes. So, I think to me, the big issue is, should we offer the entire semester, the fall semester, again online and through distance education? And as you know, other universities, you heard about Cal State Fullerton. So Cal State Fullerton has decided we're just going to go online in the fall. I believe also UC Irvine has made that decision. I also have heard that Cal State Long Beach has made that decision. And I think the reason many of them are also moving in that direction is because, if we're going to offer a class on a campus and it needs to be distance of 6 feet or more, what will be the class size limit? So you have classes that have 40 students or have 50 students, but with social distancing, that's going to have to be cut almost in half. And is it possible to offer still that class? And you're going to need like two classrooms or so to offer that one class. So the feasibility of it is not easy, and coordination of it is not easy. So we are looking into that. The other, the governor's sixth point in that plan talks about the fact that if there's a spike in cases again, if there's a surge in cases, that he will once again implement his stay at home executive order. And he'll tell everybody, forget coming to the campuses, everything needs to go online. And so, it's a monumental task to take, a large portion of the curriculum and to convert it overnight to online again. I think all of you went through that. So we need to be strategic about this, because it could happen. There's still no vaccine. There's still no cure. People can still get infected. So, if we are going to offer any classes online, no, I mean, any classes face to face on the campuses, to me, it will be a small number of classes. Probably a good number of them will be the CTE courses or courses that require labs, where students just have to know that they don't know yet how to offer that class online. And I'm talking about from automotive tech to, again, to welding, and those courses are, there's a portion of them that you can do theoretically, and but also there's a portion of that class that has to be done face to face. So again, if we come back when we come back in the fall, if we're going to offer anything face to face, will be small, meaning that the majority of the classes, at least 90%, could still be online. And So again, we're talking about it. We want to make some key decision as quickly as possible, so that we can inform students about the fall semester, and you'll know what we're going to be offering still remotely and online, and what classes we may still have face to face. But so again, so keep an eye out, and we're as soon as some of those key decisions can be made, as we are working closely with faculty, faculty leaders, and student leaders, we can make those key decisions, and let everybody know what will happen in the fall semester.
Yes, and we'll be, checking in with you, with these live chats. That will be, we will continue to do them
Absolutely.
on those updates. So, yes, so we should get started on
Of course.
the, yeah, no problem. So let me start with the refunds. So last week on Tuesday, I did mention on the other live chat that there was a teleconference on that Tuesday with the state chancellor, Eloy Oakley. And in that conference, the chancellor, did address about advising the colleges and universities to, giving the refunds for the parking, health and wellness fees and other
Right.
fees to back to the students, especially in this time of need. And you did mention on our in that live chat, in our first live chat, about contemplating whether or not to give the refunds to our
Mhm.
students, because we were in school in person on campus for like 5 weeks before we went fully online. So my question was, has there been any changes to the situation
Right.
for SAC, and or will it be continue as planned?
Right. So let's talk about parking fees first, for the spring semester. So we are planning to return a portion of the parking fees to students. It will be prorated, meaning that, as you know, we closed the semester, spring semester, beginning March 13th. We're open for a few weeks, so we will prorate it, and that portion that's due back to students, we want to be able to get it to them within 2 weeks at the latest. Uh, it's not gonna, I mean, parking for students, I think, if you're full time, I think you pay $30. So you're not gonna get the full $30, but you get a good portion of that back. So we do want to give those parking fees back to students for the spring. For the summer session, because it's all going to be online, remote instruction, we're not going to charge students at all for parking fees. So I wanted to let you know that. And then going back again to the fall semester, so if we make a decision where, where 90% of the classes will still be online, we're probably again not going to charge students for to park on the campuses. So I wanted to share that with you.
Mhm.
In regards to the federal stimulus and the CARES Act. So we finally received notification yesterday from the Department of Education that we can begin to draw down the dollars and begin to issue grants to students. So the colleges are working to make that happen. I'm hoping that they can make that happen quickly, and we could hopefully in the next 2 weeks we can get grants going to students. Other information that we learned is that the obviously the you can't use the CARES Act dollars, the federal stimulus dollars, to give grants to undocumented students and DACA students. So I've asked both campuses to identify dollars from their foundations so that we can give dollars also to undocumented students and DACA students. We want to be able to give the undocumented students and DACA students the same amount of money that we're giving everybody else. We're not going to treat undocumented students, DACA students as second-class citizens. We're not going to do that. We're going to give them the same amount. We want to give it to them at the same time we're giving the other checks out because they are in need for those resources like everybody else. So wanted to also share that with you. And so I'm excited about that. Obviously, every little bit helps,
Yeah.
and we want to make sure that we can get those dollars out to all the students.
Yes, and since you did mention about the CARES Act, federal stimulus funds, and the refunds, um, how can students how are students going to get refunded? Like in like how are who should a student contact? Is it going directly to like mailed to them? How is that going to?
Yeah, so we're probably going to go ahead and just mail checks to students
Mhm,
for parking fees.
mhm,
In regards to the grants coming from the federal stimulus, we're probably going to do something similar to that. Uh, but you know, I've asked the campuses to also connect with students to see if they have a bank account and we can even directly deposit it there. Obviously, you're hearing, I'm sure, Leslie, and I'm hearing about checks getting stolen from people
mhm.
who are getting. So I am concerned about that. But I don't know if all the students have bank accounts, and if they don't have a bank account, then we're gonna have to just give them a check and mail a check to them. But yeah, so again, both colleges are trying to resolve that on their campuses, and and that's why it's going to take a little bit of time. We're not going to be able to do this overnight, because we want to make sure that that check goes to the student and it doesn't get lost along the way, doesn't get stolen along the way, but they get those checks and unfortunately, we can't do things on the campus, and we can't have them when come to the campus and line up. But we may have to do that for those students that don't have a bank account, or maybe we have an old address from them, and they have moved and lived somewhere else. So we may just ask them, "Well, come to the campus and pick up the check."
And
So
sorry to interrupt, but correct me if I'm wrong. In the Canvas website for the students, they can change their address and stuff and their personal information on Canvas, correct?
yeah, they could do that, and so I don't know if the because who's going to lead this effort from the campuses will be the financial aid offices.
Mhm.
So I don't know if the financial aid offices know that they could draw down the address if a student makes a change to Canvas. But again, we'll make sure that they get the right address. And but so I think that what students need to do is that if they have moved and they no longer live where they used to live 2 weeks ago, that they should let us know somehow. And maybe Canvas may be the way to go, but I can get back to you as to how they can let the campuses know.
Okay.
But again, even if we have to have students come to the campus to pick up their check, and if that's what needs to happen, that's what needs to happen. Our goal is to make sure they get the check, and our goal is to make sure that that check does not get lost along the way and it doesn't get stolen along. So that's what we're trying to resolve.
Yes, and yeah, regarding about the checks being stolen, yes, I personally have been like kind of wary about the checks because I've heard from other students, friends, even family members that unfortunately they lost their checks or somebody stole them. They don't know what happened to them,
Right.
and it's very unfortunate because they were like kind of like relying on that, for their needs. And
Yeah.
so, but yes, I'm glad that you're taking that into consideration and taking other forms in order to that our students can get those refunds and those stimulus checks and for the CARES Act and for our undocumented students as well.
Hmm.
So one of the other things that you just mentioned was about the financial aid office, checking in with them. A lot. Uh, I've been talking to some students for the past week, and it seems that a lot of students are confused about, whether or not the offices are open. I know that you did mention on the first live chat that they are open, and but through like online and virtual, like we're doing on this conference.
Right.
Um, because students know that the school is closed, but they don't know whether the offices or other some of the other departments are open. So can you clarify what services are open and who's still available and how can they reach them?
Right. So all services are open,
Mhm,
uh, but let me provide some details to what that means.
mhm,
Well, as you know, the new normal is no longer the new normal. So what open means today also is that you can access your information online. I know some offices on the campuses, there is staff physically there. So I don't know what days are there. They're not there every day. So I can get that information to you quickly. I can get, so that you can find out. Look, the point here is that we're trying to avoid having students come to the campus because that's the whole purpose of the executive order is they don't want anybody on the campus. But I know that not all business can be taken care of online. Sometimes you may have to come to the campus. So we want to be able to be accessible to students in that manner as well. But as you know, also, I'm sure there's other students who just don't want to come to the campus. They don't want to be infected, and I get that. Um, so I can find out for you for the various offices, student services programs from financial aid, admissions, counseling. I can find out for you which days and hours of the day they are open so that in case students need to come in and see someone or talk to someone, that they can do that. But
Yes,
for the
that'll be excellent because there has been a lot of confusion, like I said, among the students, and even some with some of the teachers who some of their students are emailing them about like, oh, can you help me with this, or how can I get in contact with this office and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just to clarify the confusion. But
yeah.
and speaking about counseling and stuff like that about that section, so we're about 1 month into the quarantine. And one of the problems that has been rising, not only amongst Santa Ana College students, but just nationwide, is mental health.
Yeah.
And it's a very serious problem right now because a lot of our students are facing and have reported to not only to their teachers but just in general in some surveys about having anxiety, pessimism, unmotivation, being overwhelmed, with their personal situation, financial situation, whatever the situation they are going through, and, showing signs of depression.
Hmm.
And so my question to you is, what services the school and the district have available for our students who are dealing with this problem, and what do you have any personal suggestions for our students on how they can stay positive, in
Yep.
this time?
So our health centers, who take on a lot of the responsibility of providing many of the services that you described, are still open,
Mhm,
and they offer a number of those services online.
mhm,
Uh, and so, if a student needs to talk to someone about maybe they are feeling very depressed or facing other type of stressful situations, they can go online and have they can talk with someone, and there's chat rooms and so forth. So again, most of the services are online. Again, I think the difficulty here, Leslie, is the change. And sometimes students are concerned about confidentiality as they are talking to someone online. And I can reassure you and all the students that when a student speaks with a counselor or a psychologist, for example, through our health center, that is confidential. Um, so again, as we continue in this new mode of communication, where literally everything now has to be done online. I really want students to also make that adjustment, because what I'm trying to avoid is having students come to the campus and having staff come to the campus, because I cannot guarantee that you're not going to get infected. I can't guarantee that. And my number one goal is also to watch out for your health, that you're safe. But I can't guarantee that, if you are coming to the campus and they're meeting with a counselor, even if we take all the precautions, Leslie, of being separated by 6 feet, and they're wearing a mask and they're wearing gloves. I mean, we're learning every day about the coronavirus and its capabilities, and but I think that so again, what I would recommend to students is to look at the services that are being offered through the health center online, and if those services do not meet their needs, we do need to hear from them. And if those services are not adequate, they're not quality, and they may even have concerns of confidentiality, we do need to hear from you. Uh, as you know, both campuses have been surveying students. I think the survey at SCC was nearly 2,000 students that responded to I think the president there was sharing with me is the biggest response they ever had for any survey that they've ever done. And so there were a number of questions asking students about student services. And same thing with SAC. They also conducted a survey, and they didn't get 2,000 students, but they got about 1,000 students, which is still a really good response rate from students. And they did give us a lot of good feedback about services. Some like going online, or they feel that the online technology that they're using is not great. Some feel it was easy to use. Again, it's kind of a mixed bag we're getting, but we do need to hear from students about health, the health center, and other services. And but again, I try to explain to students that I'm trying to avoid contact between the student and anyone else, so that they don't get infected.
Yes, and there's 2 points that you mentioned that I actually wanted to touch on. Which is first is the online part about like confidentiality and stuff. So um, there has been concerns, nationally about online being going fully online, and as you know, many teachers have used different platforms such as like Zoom, Canvas, Google Hangouts, and Pronto, and other forms of platforms in order to teach. And students have also used different platforms in order to communicate to their teachers, to other students, you know and to learn more, to get more understanding of what they're learning
Mhm.
and online. So, and then there have been concerns nationwide about the safety and security of these platforms, and many have fears of cyber attacks and getting hacked and other types of problems that can occur. So some of the districts actually in the eastern part of the nation already banned students and teachers from certain platforms, for example Zoom.
Right.
um, um, have you seen a rise in cyber attacks or hacking problems within our district? And if it hasn't been a problem, what are the district doing to ensure that teachers and students are using secured platforms in order to teach?
Great. Good question. Really outstanding question. And thanks for asking that. So I have not seen a rise. Actually, I have not heard much about it in quite a while. So I think what the reason that is occurring is because our information technology office, they are holding daily professional development seminars and workshops with faculty and classified staff, and teaching them how to use these technologies, and teaching them how to use it securely so that they don't get hacked, they don't get what's the new lingo, bombed, Zoom bomb,
It's
right?
like
uh, all these lingos that we have to get used to now. But yeah, so they do this every day, and I think as staff become more educated in how to use these technologies, they're able to prevent from anyone hacking it, or uh, or breaking in somehow, and getting access to any information. So we have been holding a number of confidential meetings,
Mhm.
um, through Zoom, for example. So our board of trustees has their closed session, which is a confidential meeting, and it's been done through Zoom. Also, again, our regular board meetings, with a number of people participating, they've been conducting those through Zoom, and because again, our staff is just so much better trained now. They know this technology a whole lot better than they did when it began on March 18th, is when we opened up, began offering everything, began to offer everything online. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, because as the week passed in this last week, yeah, we heard a lot of like we've seen articles about just people experiencing hacks and cyber attacks, even cyber bombs as the lingo goes. And it has been a concern, amongst students, getting their personal information, hacked and getting out there, and things that that are an obvious concern to all. So yeah, just we really wanted to just to know if if it has been a problem within our district. And well, I'm glad that it isn't. So
Yeah.
but I did also hear that that our staff is taking uh just some curriculum to transition into this fully online semester. And so I'm glad that the district is taking steps in order to make that happen.
Yes.
So the other point that I wanted to touch on that you mentioned earlier was about the funds of our school. So this week, I believe, the SAC Foundation actually sent out an email to professors and teachers regarding the SACF Resilience Fund to provide financial aid, and some of the donations actually went up to, I believe, 40,000 grant for our SAC students.
Wow.
And um, are you aware of how the fund has helped our students, or how our students can apply for this assistance? And is RSCC district going to open up a similar fund to help students in this time?
Yeah, I'm aware of the fund. I'm not fully educated on how it's been given to students, and
Mhm,
how helpful and impactful it's been for them.
mhm,
But again, the foundations have been great in raising a lot of private donations, from a lot of our former alumni
mhm,
who went to SAC. Uh, Again, they're going to come through again by helping our DACA students and undocumented students with some additional dollars. But I'm not fully aware I mean, I read the press release real quickly, but I'm not fully aware of the details and some of the questions that you've asked me. But I can find out and get back to you on that.
yes, that would be great. And we'll just switch over to Ashley if there's any social media questions at this time. Ashley, are you still on the line?
I am. No questions from social media right now, but I encourage everyone that's doing it right now. If you want to ask a question, our comments are open. Thank you, guys.
Right. So, so one of the things I also wanted to hit on is the cleaning on campus. So there have been reports about that our staff not being able to go on campus like they if they wanted to, because I know in one of our live chats you did mention that if or one of our staff wanted or students wanted to go on campus for any reason to notify in advance and anything, but we have been getting reports about our teachers not and our professors not to being able to go on campus because there have been task force about cleaning. And how my question for you is how is that um, how is that going, and what measures have the school and district have implemented in this past week about deep cleaning on our campuses?
Yeah. So I just heard about this today from SAC's Academic Senate,
Mhm.
that some faculty members may have been prohibited from going to the campus to their offices. Again, I just heard about it, to be honest with you, about an hour ago. I haven't had a chance to look into it, but so here's the policy that I established for everybody as it relates to going to the campus and going to their offices. So if faculty member A and needs to go to their offices on campus, what they need to do first is connect with the supervisor, the dean, or the vice president. Let them know so that also campus police can go to meet that faculty member and open up the office, and so they can get it and open up the building and the office so they can get in and pick up whatever they need. That's still the policy. You know, again, what we're trying to avoid is, for example, a faculty member going on the campus, picking up their what they need, and then staying there all day. We don't want them to stay there all day. We want them to pick up what they need and head home. But that's still the policy. Now, if staff is being prohibited for a reason or another, I will find out what that reason is, and I don't know why they would be prohibited from uh, going to the campus to pick up what they need. Uh, I'm again, I just became aware of this basically about an hour ago, so I
Mhm.
can find, I can find out for you. I'm
Yes.
sorry, I'm sorry I don't have a lot of answers for you today. I feel terrible now.
Okay. Yeah, these are just very recent updates that we just got in this past week and even today and yesterday. So we would just wanted to see if you knew, any information so that our audience who are watching that they can
Yeah,
get them, that information. So we'll just move on to our last question for
yeah,
today, and then if there's any other updates that you want to mention at the end, we'll have that time for you. So,
okay.
but our last question is going back to our first live chat again. You did mention about gathering funds, donors, to provide aid for students who can't afford, computers and other means of technology, to continue with the temporary remote instruction.
Right.
Are there any updates on
Yeah.
that you want to mention at this time about that?
Yep. So going back to the grants that students will receive from the federal stimulus, so they can use those dollars too
Mhm.
for technology needs, for as they also make this transition to remote instruction. So,
Mhm.
for example, they could use the dollars to purchase uh, internet service if they don't have it at home, or they can use it to upgrade it because maybe they had low speed and they're going to need some high speed
Mhm.
internet service, so they can use those dollars, for that specific purpose. Now, if a student, for example, doesn't have a laptop, we are loaning laptops still to students, both at SAC and SEC.
Mhm.
So that service still continues. Um, so you know, we want to be able to again help students with all the needs that they're going to have. No doubt, we were very lucky to get that federal stimulus, and that will help tremendously.
Mhm.
We are also, again, I think at the last time we were together, Leslie, and I mentioned to you that Governor Newsom was
Mhm.
trying to get $125 million approved to support the needs of immigrants, undocumented immigrants who are not going to be serviced by the CARES Act. So we're waiting for those results also.
Mhm.
There is discussion in Washington, D.C. about another federal stimulus. This is a federal stimulus that is designed to help state governments and city governments. And also, part of the stimulus will be to support the needs of colleges throughout the nation. Because we told them, thank you for the federal stimulus you've given us so far, but we need a lot more than that.
Mhm.
And because again, if we continue with online instruction, in the fall, uh, you know, and if a student's not working and they barely have the money to pay rent or anything else, they're not going to have the money to pay for continued internet service or other needs that they may have. So we want to make sure that we have resources to continue to help students. So again, we continue to lobby. We're actively lobbying all the time, in Washington D.C. and in Sacramento, because we know that the COVID-19 has caused a number of disruptions for everybody. Uh, so um, so again, that continues. I wanted to share a couple of other pieces of information for all of you. I believe that it was yesterday, the LA Economic Development Corporation, which does economic forecasts for the LA and Orange County basin, is projecting that in the month of May, we will have a 31.7 unemployment rate. 31.7 in the Los Angeles and Orange County uh, basin. So that's huge. That's probably more than, it might be as high or higher than what it was in the Great Depression. So we are concerned about that because usually what happens, Leslie, is when you have that many people who are unemployed, many of them want to come back to school. They want to come to a college and they want to learn some new skills so they can go out and get a job. And we want to be able to serve those students. So, so my concern is, that we're going to need the legislature to support us, so we can prepare all those individuals who want to get new training to get some new jobs. And but that's not going to happen if the state doesn't support us and they don't give us enough funding. But again, usually what happens, from situations like these, and it just happened back in 2010 or 11 when we were going through the Great Recession, as it's referred to now. Many of them came back to the campuses and they wanted to get new education because they lost their jobs and so forth. So we want to make sure that we have the resources to help them out. We have the resources to provide not just training for them, but also we have the resources to support them, because if they're unemployed, that means they don't have money for rent, they don't have money for internet service, they don't have money for, they may have a laptop, they may not have a laptop. So we need the resources so we can help all these individuals. But it's, 31.7 is devastating, devastating. So, so we need to be prepared for what will happen, which is, again, many of them will want to come back to us to get a training in a whole different area where there's jobs.
Mhm. Yes. So yeah, I did also hear about that. That they sent out, the updated, unemployment rate right now, and yeah, it's very shocking the results because, like like you've said, I've said, a lot of people also can, you know, agree with us that we never seen anything like this before. Nothing compared to it, probably in the last couple decades, probably, or so. Yeah, everything's new, not only for, for you and the school, the districts, all the districts around the nation, but also for like students, parents, you know, children. Like it's a it's a lot of drastic changes that have been going on, and like I said before, we really appreciate how you're taking the time, to have this information go out to our audience and anyone who watches this live chat. So once again, thank you
Thank you.
for taking the time, and
Both.
also,
I got a few questions from social media. Would I be able to ask those really quick?
yeah, of course.
Great, great. So we got three questions in the last few moments. So the first question from social media is the security guards, custodial staff, and graveyard custodial staff aware of the cleaning chemicals being used on the campuses?
Is the okay? Repeat the question again.
Yeah, absolutely. So this question comes from social media, and they're asking, does the security guards, custodial staff, and graveyard custodial staff, are they aware of the cleaning chemicals being used on campus?
Not the security staff. Again, the security staff just provides security, so they don't deal with cleaning the campus. It's primarily the custodial staff that deals with the cleaning materials, the chemicals, and because we're constantly trying to deep clean the campuses and sanitize them, and but they're the ones who are more familiar, but not really the security staff.
Okay, great. And then the next question is the campus going to be open anytime soon?
Um, well, again, it's open online, so you could always connect with all those offices online. Again, from admissions to financial aid to I talked about the health center. Uh, as I mentioned to Leslie a little bit earlier today, I can find out which offices are physically open in case they need to go to the campuses. I don't think they're physically open 5 days a week. There's certain days that they are open. Um, but I just want to again share with students that we're we're trying to prevent from students coming to the campus because that's what the whole executive order is all about. I don't want to be in violation of the executive order and have everybody come to the campus.
Mhm.
But I think the first thing the students need to do is first check online to see if they can have their service met online. Secondly, I'm sure that online it may even state in there in case you do need to come to the campus, when there's someone there that they can speak with. So that would be my first recommendation is to go online to see what the services they can access right away.
Great. The last question from social media, two people asked, are there any updates on possibly transitioning to pass-fail grading?
Good question. So right now, both senates are the academic senates of SEC and SAC are working on these specific topics. I expect that they will be ready to respond to it relatively soon. So again, these are issues that I rely upon the academic senate to debate and discuss and to give me the recommendations as to what directions they want to take. So we do want to act on this right away because we know that the Cal States are moving in this direction. I haven't heard yet from the UCs whether they're looking at pass, no pass, but I know that the Cal States are.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's all the questions that we have for this interview today. So thank you so much, Chancellor, again for taking the time, and we will see you on our next live chat.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Leslie and Sarah, Ashley, and take care.